Okay, this is Charlie. This is going to be my SimCity project paper. Right now we're going to go to Piru, which is one of my richest cities, because I wanted to show my highway system in it. Right here you'll notice this is one of my richest cities because it has the highest high-tech industries and a lot of residents enjoy this city. So what we're going to do is go to data view and then zones because this shows it easier. This is my highway system. It divides the city up into 6 major parts, which of course I keep my residentials down here, my commercial here, and then I'm mixed in between with high-tech industry and high-wealth commercial all the way through. There's no low-wealth residents in this city because I tax them to keep them all out. As we were mentioning in class, here when you zoom in, you'll notice the highway system is branching out. What this is doing is it's allowing me to connect to Sims Nation towards the city that's next to it. And what I have to do is go to that city and pretty much make a highway system over in that city, and they'll both be utilized at the same time. I felt that this one needed a highway system just because it was really fancy and it was high wealth. So we're going to exit now. Now we're back in the region, and we're going to save Greece for last, and we're going to go to my project city, which I called Alexandria. You'll notice that the population is 108,418. Commercial, there is 77,903 commercial jobs, 0 industry. So this is my project city. We're in the year 100 on New Year's Day, pretty much. Well, I hit 100,000 population back at 88, but then I went up about 8,418 since then. So if we go to our data views really quick and check zones, you'll notice that I pretty much put in residentials next to where I believe jobs would start, so that way commute time would be slower if the job was across the street. Originally, I did start this place with industrial jobs, but they weren't dirty industry. I taxed dirty industry from day one so that they weren't allowed in. Same thing with medium industry, so only high tech was allowed in. But then after a while, I'm the one that wanted high tech out and made everything just strictly commercial. So, with that said, we're going to take a look at crime really quick. We'll notice that there are 5 major police stations. So this brought down crime, but not completely. There's still a high rate of assault at 3 major areas, and there are 2 stick-up areas and 1 drug area. So these are really bad areas. The only way I believe to fix this is to increase funding for the police or put in more police stations. If we look at our education, you'll notice that education is very high, and as time went on, I added in more and more education facilities to make my Sims even smarter. What happened was I put in a total, after 100 years, there are 7 elementary schools, 1 high school, 6 libraries, 1 city college, a city museum, 2 large elementary schools, and a large high school. And of course the results are pretty much all my Sims are educated except very little areas, which I guess just aren't going to school or utilizing the facilities. And then if we go to traffic, you'll notice pretty much traffic is good other than these little corner areas where there are sharp turns, and in the middle here, basically this is an avenue that connects all the 4 major parts, because I divided my city into 4 major parts. And then down here in the corner, I don't know what's going on, but I haven't gotten around to fixing it yet. And then of course if we look at zones again, there's trash all over the place because I had to turn off my sanitation because I couldn't afford it. So there's no landfill, there's no power dump, there's no recycling centers, there's just trash everywhere that it feels like being. So if we went to garbage really quick, this is what the trash looks like. You'll notice that trash is pretty much everywhere. It's just everywhere. so I need to do something about that. If we look at health, you'll notice that there are 7 medical centers and 5 large medical centers, so my health is very, very good in this city. A lot of people are living to be very old. If you look at a resident's average age, you'll notice that the blue areas mean old people and that the green is very young. You'll notice that there are in between middle-aged little Sims. So now if we go to our bar graphs really quick, we'll notice here for the crime rates, putting it up to 100 years ago, 100 years on the left, now is on the right. We'll notice that crime went up, but as I put in more police stations, so did the numbers of arrests, so it's been panning out pretty well. If we look at our commute time, it was very, very high at over 60 in our first couple of years, but then after I added in subway stations, bus terminals, avenues, and roads over streets, we can notice that it has panned out to just below 50 now. So if we look at jobs and population, at one point in time, about the 50-year mark, there were 78,000 jobs and 78,000 Sims, and then since then I've tried to get in more population, and I took away high-tech industries, which caused less jobs but more Sims. So the reason of that is because low wealth started coming into my city. And then of course if we look at garbage, this is about the same time that I took down garbage for sanitation purposes, so then garbage just spiked all the way up. Then if we look at education, education just steadily went up, kind of went down a little bit. That's when I realized I had to put in more facilities. I went back up, had to put in more facilities, went back up, and vice versa, kept on going and going. Then if we look at education by age, everyone in my city is pretty much educated. They're aging between 1 to 10 all the way to 81 to 90. Everyone's educated, and that's why there's so much high wealth and commercial and all types of stuff going on in the city. If we look at population by age, we'll notice that 21 to 30 is pretty much the highest, and not following far behind is between 51 to 60, 11 to 20, but we have some 90-year-old citizens going on in there. Life expectancy actually in the first year was about above 50, below 60, and now 100 years later it's just above 90. Actually, it's been panned out over 90 for a few decades now. That's because of my great health system that I have going on. The resident's average income is about a little bit below 60,000 at peak point. Because I got rid of high-tech industry jobs, now it's just below 40,000. So when we look at the traffic volume, of course, here we have basically they're all using cars. A couple of them are walking, and only a little bit of people are using the subway, and a little bit of people are using the bus stations. So that's pretty bad, because when we go over here into traffic and we look at volume, pretty much we're looking at the little road area right here. These are the Sims, they're moving around, and that's because of the roads. When we're looking at pedestrians, barely any of them are walking. Car, of course, they're all moving in the car. Buses, it's pretty much down on the south side. North is barely being used, and the subway is hardly being used as well. If we go to here real quick and look at my subway system, this is my subway system. So this apparently is not being used the way I want, so I have to make some adjustments and fix that. So now we're going to go to Greece, which this, of course, my teacher wanted to see, because there is a population of over 500,000 Sims going on, and look, there's barely any jobs, so a lot of them are out of work right now. But my mayor rating is still good, so they like my mayor's rating. So what's going on in this city? Pretty much we'll start out by looking at the zoning area. Zoning, you can tell where these little cloud dusty things are. There's pretty much dirty industry going on. Of course, green means residential. I have a few medium zones going on that need to be turned into high soon. And then we have a lot of high density commercial going on. This, I believe, is like my suburban area, if I remember correctly. This is my suburban area. Then if we look, we have more. Now this is a mix between dirty, high wealth, medium wealth, all types of different types of jobs. Pretty much everyone is going on around here. Now if we look at education between this large city, you'll notice that these are also educated Sims. even in all corners of the area. So pretty much everywhere possible, I'm trying to get them educated. Ironically, their health, even with the pollution that's going on, is pretty well as going on here in the left hand corner. And then we go down, so pretty much everyone's going good with the health. Now, if we look at water pollution, we have a lot of water pollution going on here. If we look at air pollution, we have a lot of air pollution going on. So it's pretty amazing that their health is still in really good with that. So that means my hospitals are very, very good. Now, if we look at traffic, traffic's just awful. This is just bad traffic everywhere. I don't even know where to begin to fix this, but my traffic is just everywhere. So if we look at garbage, ironically, my garbage is fine. There's pretty much like no garbage going on in this area at all. Alright, and then again, if we look at crime here, there's a lot of police stations going on here, but look, there's only 1, 2, 3 places of assault and 1 stick up, no drugs in my city, so they're pretty much just misdemeanor crimes going on here, pipe throwing, flashing, things of that nature. So now if we go into my little bar graph, this city was 500 years in, so we have to go all the way to 500 years, and of course there was a few downtimes. So if we look at crime, this right now means there was downtime. Pretty much what I did was there was no one living in the city from that point, and it just went on for a few hundred years that way. No one was living here. And then of course police and the crime, as usual, they got together. Commute time, eventually commute time got really high because realistically there's traffic everywhere and there's no really public transportation going on here. Jobs, it looked like it was panning out for a while there, but then after I started getting to about 250,000 people, there's just more people than there are jobs. So if we look at water pollution, of course water pollution went through the sky. Garbage was really high, and then I did everything in my power to put it down, so it went away. So that's good. Education, of course, this is downtime. No one was living in the city. It went up, then it went down, and then eventually I just got it all the way back up again. Education by age, we can see everyone's pretty much being educated right now. Population by age, pretty much your average working and student level. Life expectancy, now it's over 90, which is pretty good. And then if we look at average income, it's pretty bad. It's about 40,000. It's because there's just jobs everywhere there can be, pretty much. So if we look at traffic volume, of course, traffic is just bad. So last but not least, we are going to look at my city's expenses on what is going on with this city. How am I affording it, and how much does it cost? Well, it's costing me $130,000. And I'm getting about $178,000. So, ironically, my taxes, I'm keeping out agriculture. That's why that's at 20%. Everything else is at 12%. Sims are content with that, have been for a while now, and actually it's been rising because I've been able to pay for my city with that. So, if we look at neighborhood deals, I'm giving more money away than I'm taking in from neighborhood deals right now. So if we look over here, though, for the business deals, pretty much these are a couple businesses from when I was belly up. So if we look at our transportation right now, we're paying about $6,000. If we look at public safety, it's about $15,000. That's for all my fire and police departments and everything, which they're all throughout the city, everywhere. We look at my medical center, there's over 40 of them, and the disease research centers. There's costing me $73,000 between this and education. With education, we're looking at 4 elementary schools, 1 high school, 5 libraries, 1 main library, 3 city colleges, 4 city museums, a university, a major art museum, 3 elementary schools, and 3 large high schools, buses, everything. We're looking at about almost $75,000 just for that. And then our utility city ordinances, I actually have a few off, and it's still $13,000. So these are really big spikes in levels when it comes to money. But luckily, I'm able to fund the city, and I'm able to keep on going with it. If we look at our city beautifications, we have 16 parks, 16 paved areas, 1 of everything else pretty much. Ironically, when we were speaking in class, we were talking about how sports stadiums don't bring in money, and this is going to be the last thing that I wanted to present really quick. If you look at right here, this is a sports stadium, and I'm going to hit play really quick. As you'll notice, there is no one using this facility. It is empty. It's been empty for decades. No one uses this thing. And I purposely put roads around it, thinking, okay, maybe the Sims just can't get in, but that's not the case whatsoever. People just do not use these things. So it was a total waste of money. And that is my Sims presentations. Are there any questions?